Bump, 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 bow. Whoa, man. That song was in my pregame set list before high school hockey games 45 years ago, and it still rocks today. And you know what's good? I'm seeing more and more people worldwide saying, we won't get fooled again. So my title poses a question I've thought about for 36 years in practice. What if we spent more of our energies thinking about getting healthy rather than being worried about getting sick? Have you heard anyone from the government, big media, big pharma talking about that? How to keep our physiologies humming along and able to easily withstand the speed bumps we run across every single day in our lives from birth to death? Well, that's sort of a rhetorical question, isn't it? No, you haven't. Today, I want to quickly summarize two really cool studies I found recently on COVID-19. First one here, actually findable on the CDC website if you dig around deep enough. Researchers used data from 800 hospitals across the US, 12-month period, March 2020 to March 2021. What they did is they tracked adults hospitalized with COVID over that time frame. What do you think they found? 95% of 500,000 patients had at least one underlying medical condition, and some up to 10. Many of these underlying conditions were associated with severe COVID-19 illness. The most frequent underlying conditions that they found: obesity, high blood pressure, diabetes. That's no real surprise to me, but very interestingly, one of the very high-risk underlying conditions was fear and anxiety disorders. Isn't that amazing? So take someone with an anxiety disorder. What do you think would happen if you place that person in front of mainstream media news channels for 3 minutes? Silly question. And as you'd expect, risk of death rises with number of pre-existing conditions. In other words, obesity plus high blood pressure poses a higher risk to illness than either one of those alone. And study number two, I think it's compelling and should get far more attention. Somehow I'm not surprised it doesn't. So we know that the immune system produces what's known as antibodies after it's been fighting an infection of some sort, virus, fungus, bacteria, etc. Antibodies are members of the body's defense system and are at the ready should we be attacked again by the same virus in the future or similar. And by the way, all viruses, in an effort to survive in the host, develop variants. This is nothing new. There'll be hundreds of variants to COVID-19. So let's keep our heads screwed on tight here. So researchers in this study followed over 43,000 antibody positive patients. In other words, these 43,000 plus people had developed antibodies in response to a previous exposure to COVID-19. The question the researchers had was, would this antibody production be protective against future attacks by COVID? Of the 43,044 subjects, 314 had a future positive COVID test. Get that? 314 positive tests out of 43,000 plus. Do the math. 314 divided by 43,044 equals 0.7%. 0.7% had a future positive COVID test. Most of the positive tests were incidental findings, routine COVID testing for employment or something like that. One severe case, all the rest were mild or completely non-symptomatic. No deaths. Conclusion: 1, reinfection is extremely rare. 2, natural infection elicits very strong protection with an efficacy of over 95%. What would I recommend the first steps would be for you today to start making yourself healthy? And by the way, there's something that irks me. I hear people tell me, Dr. J, you know what, I agree, being healthy is really key for this and immune system and all that, but I'm just too far gone. I spent years killing my immune system and eating junk and everything else. I think I'm just going to see what happens, get the vaccine, social distance, and so forth. Listen, you can start getting healthy today. Start today, not tomorrow, not next week. What do? Let's concentrate on trying to eat a real whole food diet, number one. Throw away the boxed junk, the bars for the morning breakfast and so forth. Let's get into some real organic fruits and vegetables, nuts, seeds, healthful oils, fish oil, flax oil, avocado oil, MCT oil, coconut oil. Number one on the list, sugar. Cut it out or at least down. How about trying this? Track your food intake for an average week. Figure out how much sugar you take. Next week, cut 50% out. Let's cut it by half. If you do 5 Coca-Colas a day, make it 2, etc. And for most of us, it's very key to have some salt in the diet. Good broad spectrum salt. Himalayan pink is my favorite. 60 or 70 different trace minerals and so forth. Body evolved with salt. It is nonsense to keep it off the table for 98% of us. Once in a while, there's a person with an acute issue who should stay away. And I think I'd suggest we all add some kind of broad spectrum, nutrient-dense superfood. You've probably seen my videos. I've done many on them. I love the incredible health and cell-building effects of various functional mushrooms, otherwise known as medicinal mushrooms. Thousands of studies in the National Library of Medicine, and please review my videos on that. I won't belabor it now. We want to make sure we're getting plenty of vitamin D and zinc. Huge. Finally, the microbiome is hugely important in good health. In fact, half our immune system resides in the gut, perhaps 70%. So we need healthy gut microbes, Acidophilus bifidus, Bulgaricus, all the rest. So I think a broad spectrum probiotic is very important. I use that every day as well. And in closing, do not hesitate to contact me. Be happy to answer any questions that I can. We're all in this ride together, right? We're looking to achieve vibrant healthfulness through our lifetimes. And please check out those studies I cited. They're linked below. I linked some information regarding the real mushrooms and so forth. But until we see you again in the next one, yours in vibrant health, Dr. J. We don't get food.